Half Shell Oyster House offers award-winning cuisine and service. Named TripAdvisor Best Top 10 Small Chains in the United States. Voted Best Seafood in Mississippi Magazine 8 times. You can enjoy award-winning oysters and seafood, delicious steaks, pastas, sandwiches, salads, and so much more in a unique, polished casual dining experience. Half Shell Oyster House is located at 115 Laurel Park Cove, Suite 105, Flowood, Mississippi 39232. Or you can give them a call at 769-257-7586. And hey, tell them Sonya sent you.
She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonya, and welcome back to She Say Sports. I got my Mississippi homeboys with me today. We back at it with the legends of the Sipp. Please welcome back New Orleans advocate, sports writer Rod Walker. And we're gonna talk to this legend of the Sipp today. One of my other co-hosts, he needs no introduction. Legend of the Sipp, Hall of Famer from Alcorn University. Please welcome Brian Wanky Adams. What's up, Wank?
I appreciate it.
What's up, Rod?
I'm gonna be the mediator today. I know we got Jackson State and Alcorn on here, so I'll keep the peace. If things get out of hand, I'm gonna step in.
Right, it's always foolishness with me and him. You know, Rod introduced us actually. Rod reached out to me a couple of years ago. He was like, this guy, Brian Wanky Adams, he'll be great to come on your show. And I was all excited at first, and now it's foolishness to the utmost. Don't be trying to look serious. It's always something with him, but I love him so much. This is my brother. This is my little brother. So, but Wank,
Yeah.
You said what?
No, I say I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So Wanky, and he's supposed to be my cousin too, possibly. He still hadn't gotten that information. My mom is from where his family is from, so Macomb, Magnolia area. So I'm still waiting. I'm supposed to talk to your mom about that and find out.
Yeah, we might be on Snoop's side, either Brandon and Ray J, one of them.
You know what? I'm cool with that too. Hey, I seen it runs in the family. So Ryan, you were one of the nation's top basketball recruits in the nation in the mid 90s. And you put Piney Woods Country Life School on the map. You led the Tornadoes to not one, but 2 state championship titles, to the point where a basketball legend in the making at that time wanted to come to Piney Woods. Tell us about that. First of all, tell us about how you got to Piney Woods, and then tell us about that story about that legend, that Hall of Famer in the NBA now, who wanted to come to Piney Woods.
We always say people that end up at Piney Woods, you're at Piney Woods for a reason. So, and for me, it was I needed more structure and academics. I was one of those kids that played basketball before school, and then when school get out and I get off the bus, I drop my books off in the ditch. They get wet, rained on, all that kind of stuff. I think my parents were paying for books every year because they was always jacked up, at the end of the year. But I needed that structure. I don't know where I would be, if it went for that school. And as far as like other players, coming to Piney Woods, it was guys that was already there before I got there. But we just needed to have a little bit more, just to get over the hump and things of that nature. And I talk to my high school coach all the time, and we still joke about how he almost had Tim Duncan to attend Piney Woods. Man, it was it was crazy because at that time Piney Woods had like that Virgin Island connection. So a lot of players, baseball and basketball, kids, they was getting kids from the Virgin Islands. So
Okay.
yeah, so Piney Woods lost the state championship in 1989 to Shelby Broad Street, and that was a heartbreaking loss, and it took Piney Woods a lot, years to get over that and get over the hump, because it was hard back then. No matter what, 1A through 4, was it 5A? It was just hard to win state championship.
Hey, Brian, what was it like, man? This is my favorite thing about Piney Woods, because that gym was like nobody else's in the state.
Right.
So I don't know if you've been to a game at Piney Woods.
I haven't.
It's basically like you sitting in and this is like, this is no exaggeration. You're sitting in the auditorium, basically.
Yeah.
They're playing up on the stage. So everybody's on this one side. It's like watching a play.
Are you serious?
The course is just going back and forth. And I don't know if anybody ever died for a loose ball. On the other side, just a wall, right, Brian?
Yeah, the other side is just a wall in the gym.
Yeah. But the other side is like, I mean, you could fall off the stage almost if you. I
Yeah.
guess if you really.
Why was it like that?
That was their gym.
I
I
mean-
mean, they just made the auditorium into a gym. They didn't have a real gym, so they played. in the
Oh, they
auditorium.
didn't have the resources maybe, and they just.
Right.
Okay. I mean,
it was
hey.
multi-purpose. We had games in there. We had church. We had graduation.
That's awesome. Wow.
What was it
I
like, Brian?
never
Was
knew
it
that.
different?
Man,
It's still like that today.
yeah,
Well,
it's
it was
still like
last
that.
time I went.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's man, it was like you said though, it was like watching a play, So in my mind, hey, the stage was already set because we playing on the stage. We just needed some extras for the actors, so but it was great playing on that. I never had to chase a loose ball and dive in the stands. I wasn't running that far, So, but maybe my other high school now Yusef Fitzgerald, he might have ran off in the bleachers before running off the stage, but it was just a totally different experience, and the student body was great. One thing about playing at Piney Woods, there's no such thing as you gonna stay in the dorm and watch TV and stuff like that. They make you go to the game. You definitely going to the regular season game. We go to the state tournament. You going? You getting out of that dorm and off that campus.
Yeah.
So,
And Brian,
yeah.
y'all were a small school, man. I don't know, what were y'all? 2A, 3A?
2A.
2A.
Yeah.
But I mean, y'all were, y'all could play with anybody in the state. I mean, that didn't hold y'all back at all. Can you just kind of talk about some of those? I think y'all ranked number 1, right? When you
Yeah.
at
So
one point and
my junior year, we finished number 1 in the state. Man, back then it was just one poll, and man, it was hard. We were 37-2 that year. We lost an out-of-state game to Louisiana. We lost to Monroe out of state in Missouri, and then Mendenhall beat us. That was our rival, but Mendenhall was, man, they had like 3 other Division I players too. So I think late in the season, Lawrence County ended up losing late, and we just never lost again when we was number 2, and then that bumped us up to number 1. Man, that was a special time because at that time, a school that small finishing number 1 when you got, you still had Merle, you still had Lanier, Gentry, man, schools like that. So it was just amazing time to finish number 1.
yeah. You're not gonna mention Yazoo City at all, huh?
Well,
Look at his face.
my first ring was against Yazoo County. We beat them in the state championship, but it was a close game. The South State Championship, we only beat them by 8 points, and then in the state championship game, I think maybe I was nervous. I was just happy to be there. I was just a sophomore, and we ended up beating them 83-64. But I just felt like they just came out a little nervous and flat.
Right.
And we jumped out on them, man, and we just never looked back. And once you win that first state championship, and you got 2 or 3 years left, man, you got to keep winning. And that hunger and that desire is there, because we lost my freshman year in the first round to Shelby Broad Street, man, and that was one of the most hurtful losses I've ever been a part of.
Tell us about that. What tell us about that loss?
Well, that was my freshman year at Piney Woods. I came off the bench. I averaged 14 points, 8 rebounds a game off the bench. And it was one of those, like I said, I'm happy to be on the team. I think, I'm starting to show promise and show people that I can play and stuff like that. But that's the time where I wanted somebody else to lead me. And I didn't
Okay.
I didn't know how to take over a game then, because I was like 15 years old, and I'm like waiting on somebody else to do it. And it's almost like Michael Jordan said about Kobe Bryant in the All-Star game. We talking about the little Laker boy. He gonna make this a one-on-one game. He gonna make this happen. So that was my thing. Like once I had lost that game, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna put the game in somebody else's hand. If I got anything to do with it, I'm gonna make it happen. So that was a tough loss. We ended up losing to three of my future teammates at Alcorn, and Shelby Broad Street. Man, that was our rival. Like they were gonna come out of the north, Piney Woods was gonna come out of the south. So you didn't even have to read the paper or watch TV. You just know Broad Street is at the Coliseum.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hey, Brian, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, we all know how good of a player you were. We'll get to that in a minute. But just kind of your love for the game, man. I mean, I've covered basketball in Mississippi for years before I moved here. And I mean, just your knowledge about just the history of the game. It's like you appreciate it probably more than anybody I know, man. I mean, you can probably name every player that ever came through Mississippi from the 80s to the day, I mean, but where'd that come from, man? Because I don't see that from a lot of guys that play. I mean, there are guys that know, but they know their era, but you sort of appreciated all of it. Where'd that kind of come from?
Well, as a kid, I grew up collecting baseball, football, and basketball cards. And I was always look at the back of the card and see where a guy was from, see how tall he was, see what city he was from, see when he was born and things of that nature. So I became a student of the game of sports that I played. I played baseball, I played football, I played basketball, and man, I never forget when I first started coaching at Alcorn with Larry Smith, and we was talking. I said, yeah, everybody he was like, he played at Hollandale Simmons, but I was like, yeah, man, you was born in Rolling Fork. He looked at me like, man, how the hell you know that? I said, man, I used to collect basketball cards, and I knew like your height, what college you went to, when you were born, man. It's crazy, man. And one of my college teammates, he coached at St. Mary's University now on the women's side. He's the head coach. He said, man, he called me a walking encyclopedia.
You are, man. When it comes to that Mississippi high school basketball, I mean, I put you up against anybody.
But I studied, I just follow the game, man. And like, these kids nowadays, they don't know who played, like they don't even know who 10 years before them.
Right.
I was watching Allen Iverson's, he got his own All-Star game. And they was asking the players, like they was showing them pictures of players that played back in the day. Man, it was kids that didn't know who Chris Webber was. Man, they didn't know who Grant Hill was. I was like, wow.
But up until 2020, a lot of them didn't know who Michael Jordan was.
Right.
Documentary, and that freaks me out. I was like, how do you not know the greatest of all time? That's weird to me. But if your parents, if you're not teaching them, and you're not watching it with them, or they're not playing sports,
right,
just don't know.
And I get it, even like with my son is 25 years old, so he was born in 97, so he didn't see Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, LeBron and he's not his favorite player. He loved Kevin Durant, but he didn't see when Michael Jordan got here, it was old. I mean, when he got here, Jordan was done, so I get it, so that's just like with us, we'll say Muhammad Ali the greatest. We didn't have to see all his fights to know he was the greatest.
Right.
So that's just how it is, with these kids. Things have to be visual with them and stuff like that. But they just have to have more students of the game, and you got to study, what you're playing, and you got to know who came before you and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think they get distracted a lot too, though, man. I mean, we didn't have cell phones, so we got.
That's true.
They locked in on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram all day. They're not listening to no old heads tell them about Wilt Chamberlain, how great he was, and all that. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it definitely does. I tell people a lot, I just don't I don't think I could have been on social media as much as I was playing. Like, man, these kids, every good game, they post a mixtape
That's
and
weird to me.
everything. Like, man, like I gotta stay focused because you still got
Yeah,
people out here that comment and say weird stuff on
right.
on your posts and stuff like that. I don't know how you focus, especially a college player, because they go with these college kids, on social media like it ain't nothing.
You're absolutely right. And I can't remember his name. I can't picture his face, but Rod, you may not remember who it is. Football player had a real bad game, and they was saying stupid stuff on Twitter. As soon as the
Hmm.
game was over, he went got his phone and started tweeting him. He lost his job the next day because
Mm,
you're too engaged with people you don't know because they're talking about you.
right,
That was a problem with me. I'm like, you have to stay focused. Why, like you said, why are you even on social media like
right,
every day? I
right.
know a lot of them are trying to, because of the NIL deals, you're trying to put more out there because of the new NIL deals they're getting, but it's still kind of odd to me.
Right. And even with that, me and my wife were talking today, about the NIL stuff, and man, they making these kids' salaries visible to the
Public.
public. Like, man, I mean, it's cool if it's Denzel Washington, you Google his net worth and whatever. It's not accurate, probably nothing like that. But man, you knowing how much Angel Reese is making and her teammate, man, that's scary for somebody 19, 20 years old and you making millions, and man, I wouldn't want nobody to know how much money I'm making as a
Right.
And that's
kid.
why I didn't really agree with Rod, you know this. I didn't really agree with the NIL for a long time, but I came around a little bit, but that is a problem. I totally agree. Go ahead, Rod. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with what Brian said. I was gonna move on to like his because Brian, you were in the class of '96
Right.
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
a really talented class. Just can you just let people that may not know,
Hmm.
just some of the guys in that class, and that you were one of the best ones in that class, but just kind of just rattle off some names, some guys that were that were in that class that people may know.
Man, you had Lester Earl, who was probably number one from the
Yeah, it
time we
was.
was, sophomore to seniors, and Kobe Bryant and Jermaine O'Neal, Tim Thomas, Malik Allen, Shaheen Holloway, Mike Bibby,
Mhm.
Richard Hamilton, Kenyon Martin, Steven Jackson. Man, it was a lunch with Quentin Smith, Shannon Long, TJ Billups. It was just, what I'm saying, Mario Bland, man. It was just a laundry list of players, at the
Mhm.
time. And then, I pretty much came out of nowhere, to be rated that high and at a small school, man. That was special. And I think it was legit, I think I tell people all the time, I said, had I been doing what I was doing at Piney Woods in Chicago or Los Angeles or New York, man, there's no way I would have went to college. No way possible. And this first time y'all probably ever heard me say something like that,
Yeah.
but I just feel like, I go back and look at that list. I probably could have been easily bumped up another 8 spots, but I think because I'm, from Mississippi and
Right.
small
Right.
school or whatever, yeah, I definitely could have been up a few more spots, and I sent it. I sent the stats like to the guys. That's we can talk about it as well. Working on my project for my documentary. So the out of the top 20 recruits that year in my class, I think only 5 guys scored more points than me as a freshman. I averaged 11 points and 5 rebounds a game as a freshman. So and it's kind of hard, man. You get to college, you got to make that adjustment, and in that era, man, it's tough. You got tough coaching. You got a lot of coaches that coach with fear, with players and stuff like that. That probably couldn't coach now because, man, a lot of people have been in that transfer portal.
Yeah. Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
what was your recruiting process like? Just some of the coaches that made their way down 49 to Piney Woods.
Oh man, that gym used to be loaded. But it moved so fast though. Man, you had Florida. Like my mom and dad was living in Ocala, Florida when I was in high school my whole time. you know, and the University of Florida, like 10 miles from Gainesville. Then you had Ole Miss, you had Clemson, Tennessee, you know, but it's just when I go back, when you look at it, you know, I'm a kid from a school with 250 students. And you talking about being dumped off somewhere where it's 20, 30,000 students, man. You know, you can't expect me to just really adjust to that just because I'm a good athlete. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That wasn't for me, you know, and a lot of people are like, man, you could have went blah, 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 but you go somewhere where it's for you. Then when I look at the whole Alcorn situation, I'm watching Steve McNair, the number 3 pick in the draft. So I'm like, man, I can go down and do this in basketball. You know, I can do the same thing. So it was just frowned upon at the time. It was not the cool thing to do, man, at that time. You know what I'm saying? Because Mississippi State was headed to the Final Four that year. Ole Miss had a black coach in Rod Barnes, but you know, I got love for the Mississippi schools, but it's just like if you don't go to Mississippi State or Ole Miss, you can stay in state, but you just can't go to Alcorn, Jackson State, or Valley if you're a top recruit.
So let me ask you this, because we've talked, about this before. You did choose Alcorn. You were highly recruited. You did not choose, and I never knew one of the reasons why you did not want to go to a school like Clemson or Florida is because coming from Piney Woods, from a small school, that is a culture shock. I never knew that was one of the reasons. However, are there any regrets that you did not go to those schools, one of those schools?
The only regret is I didn't play for the coach that recruited me to go to Alcorn.
So you were fine of being at Alcorn. You just wanted to play for your coach that recruited. Okay.
Yeah, I got my degree. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I ain't strung out on drugs, and I ain't go to jail, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think for the most part, it was a success story. So maybe my story could help someone else's child out. Because man, you got to be all in with just some of the stuff that you got to deal with when you go to college. You got to go to class. You got to put in the work on and off the court. You got to deal with different personalities. You got to deal with a coach was super nice in the recruiting process, and then you get cussed out that first time in practice, and your high school coach probably ain't said a curse word in 4 years. So all of that, just gotta be able to adjust. It don't matter, man. Whatever school I would have went to, if you're good enough, they're gonna find you. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things I will was gonna talk about when it's time is that I had great numbers as a freshman, 11 points, 5 rebounds a game. But if I do that at Florida, Tennessee, or Ole Miss, I probably can go to the NBA after 1 year. So why was it frowned upon if I did it in the SWAC? Like that just, man, it just don't make sense to me. You got to average 25 points a game just to get a look back then from the SWAC. But I'm still the same guy that everybody was gushing over just a year before. So what changed? I'm trying to figure out what changed. I don't know what changed.
Hey Brian, when you think about high-profile players like you who end up, going to HBCU, I guess it was, I don't know how many years ago it was when McCure, I think I'm saying it right, last name, Maker, committed to Howard, and everybody made like a big deal out of it, and I was always like, yeah, Brian Adams did this. He did this 30 years ago, 25 years ago, or whatever. Right. What did you kind of make about that, man? When when all that buzz was going on about that?
Well, to me, there was a lot of things going on in the country at the time. You had the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and you had it took. I hated that the guy, man, that man lost his life, things of that nature. But it shouldn't have to take things, something terrifying for people to say, well, I want to think about this. I want to do something like that, but it got to be authentic. Like when I made the decision, it was authentic. Not saying that that kid's decision wasn't authentic and things of that nature.
Right.
But then you start seeing posts all over this top player. Oh, I'm thinking about going to an HBCU. Oh, an HBCU, boy, that show would be nice. And I'm reading this stuff like, man,
Mhm.
stop. That's all cap. Like your high school coach, number one, he ain't gonna let you do it. Your AAU coach, he's scared to death. He ain't gonna let you do it. So, when I saw that, it was almost like when he made that commitment, it's almost like they had to hurry up and put a statement out. Oh man, this ain't never happened. And I'm like, wow. It's almost like you've been erased out of history. You know what I'm saying? Like it never happened. Like you can't sit up there and say no top recruit has ever signed with an HBCU. Now, one thing for sure. Now, when I did make that commitment, I came up out of that top 20. That's for sure.
Right.
I went from 18. I saw 33. I even saw a ranking. I was like number 75. I said, man, stop it. So you gonna tell me it's 75 teenagers in America better than me? Okay,
Right.
so I was like, all right, man, I see where this is going. But
And if you're going
yeah,
to Kentucky or Clemson or somewhere, you'd have jumped up to number 1 or 2 probably. So
Absolutely.
that's just how it works, man.
right.
Yeah.
I
So
was
look,
I was I was for sure gonna make the McDonald's game, and that's when I was like, man, when I didn't make the McDonald's game, or I didn't get Mr. Basketball, I was like, man, there's some weird stuff going on. But at that time I'm 18, so I'm really not. I'm just in the moment. I'm like, okay, man, I think everybody like me, but it's just something weird going on. I just could never
mhm,
figure it out. So years later, like, man, there was no way we gonna let a kid that was a top 20 recruit who signed with HBCU play in this McDonald's game. They go, oh, where you going to school? Alcorn. I ain't making the McDonald's game. So yeah, I mean, it's part of the foolishness that that comes with it. But I don't want people to think that my decision was based on black and white. It was just based
mhm.
on what I felt, and the person that recruited me. It's just unfortunate, he didn't get a chance to coach me, and he went to Iowa State as an assistant coach. So I mean, when he was recruiting me, and we had the ABCD camps, he's sitting next to John Thompson. He's sitting next to Coach K. I mean, he wasn't afraid to say, "Man, I think I can get this kid." And that's the thing with coaches in the that coach at HBCU, man. You cannot be afraid to
Right.
go after players, man, because there's some kid out there that hey, man, I would really love these folks to write me a letter, or pick up the phone and
Mhm.
call me, instead of, man, we ain't gonna get that kid. And like that's the like some of the negative stuff that's out there. Like HBCUs don't call the kids, they don't write them, so yeah, we gotta fix that.
Hey, Brian, you came through long before the transfer portal, man. But if that portal had been
Yes.
around and your coach left, you think that would change the story?
Good
Oh
That would
question,
have
man,
changed
Rod.
the Brian?
Good question, Rod. That's a
man,
good question.
look, I would have gave it for sure some serious thought, and I probably would have went to him and say, look, I don't know who you all think about bringing in. If it's not a good fit, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting in that portal. For sure. And I think, man, that would have saved a lot of guys' careers and things of that nature. It was just guys, you could be in a tough situation and couldn't leave. So back then, if you transferred, it was
Yes,
almost
sir.
like it was a red flag. It's like, okay, what's
Yeah.
wrong with it? There's something wrong with it. But it was several times I was about to leave Alcorn. And man, there was some guys that, I don't want to tell everything, but there was some guys that were about to come pick me up in the middle of the night and take me to another school that was in the SEC. So, yeah, it's crazy.
So let me. So you agree with the transfer portal?
I mean, if you're in a bad situation and you need to get, like it's some people transfer. Like I look at some kids, they transfer, they averaging 15 points a game, playing 30 minutes a game. I'm like, man, what are you looking for? I want something bigger. Oh, okay, all right. And then it's some situation where you have coaches out there that's not who they say they are or say they were, when they came in your mom or your grandmother's living room. And, it might be whether it's talking crazy to a kid or whatever, like situations like that, you got to get away from that.
And I think
I
these,
don't know.
Go ahead, Rod. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, I think like Brian, I mean, he had a coach that leave. I mean, coaches get to leave. So I think, kids should get that
Right.
same opportunity, especially when you
Right.
can commit to a school because of the coach. And a lot of people
Right.
do that. They do that. So
Now, you know what? And I agree with that to a certain degree. However, I think now it's just like the kids are different from when we grew up, and it's a little a privilege thing. And I was so
Right.
glad that the portal closed yesterday, April 3rd. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm like, if one more child leave Jackson, I can't take it. I mean, they was leaving, we was getting people in, but it's just like, it's too much. I mean, one day I'm welcoming you in, and next day, 2 days later, you gone again. So it's just like, I'm like you, what are you looking for? Sometimes it's a good fit, but I think, I don't know. I'm it's a blessing and a curse with the transfer portal, in my opinion.
Right. And it's a lot of parents involved too. Like some of these parents that get out the way. They're not gonna get out of the way, but it's just, the decision making that these kids make. Like, I remember I think Tom Izzo was just talking about how no one wants a kid to fail. It's not okay to fail, man. Hey, look, when you become a certain age, and we all know, I mean, failure, that's just a part of life. You know what I'm saying? Like everything not gonna be your way. You're not gonna get everything
Right.
you want and stuff like that, man. I mean, sure, I done failed a whole bunch of times, but it's about, how you redeem yourself, because I mean, with my situation, it could have went left. It could have went real bad, but I'm still around the game. I'm still doing what I love to do, and helping people. I'm married. We got kids and stuff like that. Like I say, I mean, I think it's a success story.
So, Wanky, you got hurt. I think was it your junior year?
The first day of practice, my junior year, I break my foot.
Tell us about that, and tell us how it kind of changed your plans for the future in the NBA.
Well, I had been working hard the whole summer. I'm talking about I'm in the gym every day, working on my game. I'm going back and forth between Alcorn and Jackson, just playing against other college guys when they get home and stuff like that. Just came back from Michael Jordan camp, had a great camp. We get to the season, man, I'll never forget, I didn't get taped up for practice. Man, the trainers, our trainers was at the football game. We was playing Southern that day. No trainers was in the gym, and I had on a pair of Jordans at the time. They were starting to get the low cut Jordans, and I'll never forget. I think I went up and stepped on my teammate Edric Wheaton's foot. Man, that was the most excruciating pain I've ever felt. And that year I'm thinking like, man, this is gonna be the year, I leave school and put my name in the draft and stuff like that. But one of the biggest things that I did, and this is my fault, one of the biggest athletic mistakes I ever made was not taking the medical red shirt, because it goes back to the transfer portal, or you leaving or transferring at the time. You got to sit out. So I ain't never not played basketball. So now I got to miss a whole year. I've been getting up every morning, all my life, wanting to play basketball. Now that will be taken away from me. So the team was already rolling. We winning. I couldn't get on the floor. I wasn't healthy. I just had to be the best teammate possible, and it bothered me. And now it was like 3 points a game that year, and that's my fault. That was totally my fault, because the coaches came to me. We were in, we was in Wyoming right before the Christmas break, and Coach Whitney and Coach West came to me and said, "Man, how you feel?" And I lied to him. I told him that, man, I think I can play. I know doggone well, man. I just was not healthy, man. And when you look back at that, because they came and asked me, you know, they was like, man, we thinking about redshirting you, man. But I said, no, coach, I'm good. I can play. And man, that was a bad mistake on my part. You know what I'm saying? I got to own up to that. That was my fault.
Wow.
Hey, Brian, you look back at those days, man, what are your best memories just from playing, you know, just at Alcorn? Are there some games you remember or some guys you may have played against, especially in the non-conference schedule, I guess, before, you know, you got into SWAC play, but just are there some guys, some games, your best memories?
Man, my first big game was against Oklahoma State. I had a good game, man. I had like 13 points, maybe 5, 6 rebounds, you know, just getting in the flow of the college game. And man, I'd never forget, you know, I had a high school moment. I think I got the rebound.
Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, I think I got a steal. And I came down, I was 1-on-3. It was me versus 3 other Oklahoma State guys. And I took them and went and laid it up. The next media timeout come with and said, God dog, you freshman, you can't win it by yourself. So I looked at him and I said, yeah, I think I can win it by myself. But just playing those games. My first college start. Against Prairie View, I had 28 points, 10 rebounds against them. Just competing against Jackson State. I hit the game winner against Jackson State. My freshman year, I hit a 3 out the corner.
Nobody asked you, go ahead.
I hit another game winner against Southern. And man, it was just, just playing in front of that crowd, man, at home. I know what it's like to play a SWAC game in front of 8,000-10,000 people. Like, you know, I look at these crowds now, man, 400 and 500 people, man.
Weird.
Man, we had 400 or 500 people outside waiting to get in.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So, but
why do you think it's like that now? Why do you think we don't see big crowds like that at SWAC games anymore?
Well, first of all, you know, I think the crowds are like that because at that time, Jackson State had people that from Mississippi that people remember from high school that they want to see.
That's true.
Mississippi Valley had players that want to see. Then Alcorn had just about everybody on the roster, you know, maybe except for 2 or 3 guys that was from Mississippi that people wanted to stay home and see. You had local guys from Port Gibson and Fayette, like, man, I'm going to see them boys play, you know. So, you know, now, you know, the roster is filled with guys from Los Angeles and stuff like that. And it goes back to recruiting. You look at some of the all-time greats from Mississippi, these guys, and it could have been me, you know, these guys went off to school to play at major universities, but those universities used to seeing those local guys play. They don't want to see nobody from Mississippi playing 2,000 miles away from Mississippi. You know, they want to see the homegrown kids. You know, so I think that's why those crowds are where they at right now.
Hey, Brian, you talking about the Oklahoma State game? I was wondering, was Marlon Dorsey on that team? Do you remember?
Oh yeah. So that was
Shelby Broad Street and
Piney Woods. We talked about that, and one of my college teammates passed away that played at Broad Street, and Carl Jones. And he was just talking about, Eddie Sutton was like, hey, man, it's all quarantine. This ain't Mississippi Valley. But you know what's crazy, though? And I got the article. I'm going to send it to you because somebody sent it to me. Dorsey led, he was on the team with Broad Street beat Piney Woods for the state championship. And Dorsey was a top 20 recruit as well. He was ranked number 19 in that 92 class.
Yeah.
And he was from 2A, from Shelby Broad Street, from the Delta, man. He was a top 20 recruit.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, he was nice.
I was at Mississippi State when he got there because he originally signed with State.
Yeah.
And then he ended up transferring to Oklahoma State. So, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So, Wank, in 2019, you were inducted into Alcorn State University's Hall of Fame. How did that moment feel for you? Did you think you should have been inducted sooner, or was it just right?
No, it was just right. You know what I'm saying? Timing is everything. I wasn't, pressing the issue and stuff like that. I got the call. I was excited. It was emotional, and then, and not only, did they talk about, my talents on the court. They was just talking about just the whole what I brought back, to help the program be revived from the dead. They was like, man, your presence here on this campus and you making that decision to come to Alcorn, you know what I'm saying? Look, when I signed that paper, when I signed with Alcorn, they should have put me in the Hall of Fame.
You know what? See, you know what? That's that's your problem. Is he cocky or is he just real confident? What is it, Rod? What is it?
Nah,
It's probably a combination. It's a combination of the
This man
two.
said when he signed the paper, that's funny. I love it. That's gonna be a snippet. Just I'm letting you know. Go ahead.
But but it was just my contribution. They was talking about, to the program and doing what we said we came there to do, and that's, help revive the program and gave it life, because man, I played with a lot of great guys on that team. Man, that team, that 90, 98, 99 team, that team was special.
Awesome. That's awesome. So tell us now, we didn't make it to the NBA, but just like you said, you're still working with in sports with basketball with some amazing kids. Tell us about what you're doing with the kids.
Well, as far as like making it to the NBA, I never, what, like I told Raheem Lockhart, my high school teammate, man, we never sat around and talked about we was going to the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
I don't think that ever came out of my mouth when I was in high school. Now I knew I had a chance, stuff like that, but we never like harped on that. And our high school coach always told us, hey man, this gonna end one day. So my mind was prepared. Once it got to a point where I'm like, man, this gonna end. I gotta figure this out. But when I go to sleep, when I go to sleep at night, man, I gave it all I had. And I've done some really cool things. Just being a kid from little old dusty Macomb, Mississippi, being able to go places and play against, other talent and stuff like that. I don't have nothing to be shameful of or anything like that. So now, God has blessed me to, work with kids, our daughters, played and stuff like that, so just still being in the game, you know what I'm saying? And people pay for your services and stuff like that. So, and then, I'm giving back, just having conversations with players and just letting them know, how important it is to, take care of your body and eat right and work on your game, So yeah, I work with some really special players, girls and guys.
Hey, bro, how much has it changed, man? I know obviously kids have changed, but when you're working with these kids, how different is it now than it would have been 20 years ago if you were doing the same thing? And or you may have been doing, I don't know how long you've been doing it, but just, how much have kids changed? How much has the game itself changed?
Well, the game done changed a little bit, this is more of a 3-point driven league now. Everybody want to shoot the three and, just forget about the other, like key components of the game. But, I think, from that standpoint, it's changed a little bit, but, the game gonna evolve, every 5 years anyway. So a trend that was going on in 2010 is pretty much obsolete right now,
Right.
So I couldn't even tell you what the game was like in 2010. That's been a while ago, but things the game changed, players change, players get stronger, they get faster, they get we got unicorns out here, 6'11", 7-foot wing players that can put the ball on the floor like somebody 5'10", 5'11". So the game is always changing and evolving and stuff like that.
Okay. So, but tell us about what you're doing with, like you working with boys and girls, and you have camps. Tell us about that journey with the camps and how it's been. Like, have you seen a Brian Wanky Adams? Have you seen one of those in one of those children?
I'm gonna be real. I got 3 elite college basketball players that I work with right now, and Cam Corn, he's at Florida State. Jacoby Coles at TCU, and Jalen Tyson, he was at Texas Tech, and he will have a new home soon. But when I worked with those guys, they especially like Jalen, like he was my first like big project, what I'm saying, to try to like, figure out, okay, how can I get this kid to another level? Then I'm thinking like, okay, just give him what you had. You know what I'm saying? We had the same height, pretty much same size and around the 10th, 11th grade, and just working with those guys and giving them the, helping them, with the basic fundamentals of the game. But, make no mistake about it. These guys already know how to play. You know what I'm saying? We just refine the things. Like when we go in the gym, like I ain't really just teaching them something new. Like, man, I mean, like Melvin said on Baby Boy, this ain't nothing new, youngster. This a rerun. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I in those 3, I see a little bit of me in those guys because, I try to give them, what I had, you know what I'm saying? But they already had, unique talents and stuff like that. So, yeah, I see a little bit of them in me. And then it's a kid in Mississippi, Ashton McGee. I see a young Brian Adams, you know what I'm saying, when I watch him, just how, his size and things of that nature. Yeah, I see that in him.
That's good. So you just said, they already have the goods. You're just fine tuning them. It's kind of like, I was a voice major. I have the goods, but I have voice teachers to help me get to the next level. So that's your job. Right.
That's pretty much my job, just to, go in the gym and, I watch film, with guys. I don't just go in the gym, just rambling off the top of my head. Like with those kind of players, you got to have a plan, I tell people all the time, man, a lot of trainers and stuff, they want like the elite players and stuff like that. But the moment you go in the gym and those kids or one of those pros figure out you don't know what you're doing, man, they're going to eat you alive. And that's going to be the end of this. You'll never train them again, But it's just like you said, you're just trying to fine tune like the game and, just polish up on some things, and because they getting elite coaching on the next level as well.
Okay. Awesome. So, well, I want to ask you about, you actually trained one of my best friend's son, Elijah Hewley. Yeah. Tell me about his game. What was it, something that you had to work with him on that that will take him to his next place? He's at Western Kentucky?
Yeah, he's at Western Kentucky with Coach Stansberry. I mean, I had him a few sessions. I want to say he came to the camp that we had with Mahmoud, I believe, and real talented kid, man. I think good size. Just got to be able to, keep evolving his game and got to be able to shoot that thing, at his size, 6'4", 6'5". Like you say, athletic player. He can put it on the floor, So he's still getting better, from what I've seen and heard about it.
Well, let's get to these NBA playoffs. Ooh, child. First of all, this has been I hadn't seen the playoffs like this, for me, in my opinion, in years. It's been very exciting. They've been scrapping. It's been like, clutch games. It's just, first of all, Sacramento Kings, I didn't even know they were still in the NBA. I haven't seen them in 17 years since Chris Webber. So I was excited. I have enjoyed these, now, these NBA playoffs. Now we're in the semifinals, the conference semifinals. And go ahead. Somebody say something?
No.
you know, we got New York versus Miami, Boston versus Philadelphia, Denver versus Phoenix, and Golden State versus Lakers. Tell us, just tell us what you think about the game so far.
Man, they've been good. I mean, you know, but make no mistake about it. When it's winning time, those veterans gonna trump those youngsters every time.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way it is. That's just been the history of basketball. You know, Memphis, they talked a great game, but man, you got to back that up. You know what I'm saying, with your play, and it was just too much talking going on, and you know, and stuff like that. And then you really poking that bear. You know what I'm saying? You know, so you know, you got the Phoenix and Denver series. I think that'll go 7. That first game was more like a fill out game. You know, people make adjustments. You know, the fans always think like, man, this stuff rigged. Man, people watch film and make adjustments. Like, you might beat me by 20 the first game, but we see something that, you know, that we can fix on film. Now we come back and win the next game. Everybody like, man, how you win by 20 and then lose by 18?
That's why they play a 7-game series. That's the whole point of it. It gives teams time to adjust. And yeah, I see people overreact after game 1 all the time. Like, no, it's just one game. It's
yeah, you know. So it you know, I think that I think that Knicks and Miami series, that's gonna be a bloodbath. You know, it's gonna be yeah, you know, Philly, Boston, old school series. Joel Embiid, he's hurt right now. Steph versus LeBron, man. I just don't think the Lakers have enough off the bench right now to like sustain, you know, especially Clay and Steph going crazy. You know, I done gave Clay Thompson a new nickname. I call him Sugar Clay Thompson. So
why you call him Sugar Clay?
Well, you know, you got Sugar Ray, so I call him Sugar Clay.
You so oh, he knocking him out.
Then my wife be like, man, why you keep calling him that every time you shoot? That's Sugar Clay.
That's his new name, Sugar Clay.
Yeah, Sugar Clay Thompson.
Now tell me, what were your thoughts on Sacramento taking Golden State to 7? Just, I mean, again, like I said, I hadn't seen them in forever, but they're good. So just give me your analysis on that series.
I'm not shocked because they're very well coached, and then the coach came from Golden State, and he pretty much knows, you know, how Golden State gonna operate. He can't stop everything they're doing, but he can try to combat it, you know, the best way he can. But in the end, man, Golden State just, you know, the veterans, you know, they just know how to win. You have to learn how to win. You just don't up and win a championship. You gotta, you know, it's gonna be some struggles before you get to where you're going, and you know, that's just sports in general. But Mike Brown, pretty much, you know, just being around Steve Kerr, he knew like what they were gonna do, and you know, stuff like that. But man, it was a great series, and you know, they just didn't have enough.
Yeah, it's true. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Wanky. I mean, that Sacramento team, I mean, they played really well the whole season. They finished the 3rd seed in the West. I almost finished at the 2 seed. Then Memphis was kind of battling for that 2nd spot. But I mean, De'Aaron Fox had a really, really good year, and one of those guys that playing on a team where, you know, a lot of people didn't get to see him as much as, you know, as they probably should have. I think this playoffs made sure that, you know, maybe some of the casual fans, they got a chance to see him. And, you know, he actually has some connections to Mississippi. Both of his parents are from Mississippi. I can't ever remember which schools, maybe Meridian and somewhere else. But so you know, there's always that Mississippi connection, man. If you dig deep enough, you'll find something.
Man, you'll find something.
You're right.
Yeah, man. You know what's crazy, man? I got a homeboy. I always see him with Daz Dillinger from the Dog Pound. And I didn't know Daz and Snoop first cousins. So Daz's mom is from Macomb. I'm like, man, why is Daz always in Macomb? Like, you know, it's just that, man, that Mississippi connect. Like, this man is always hanging out in Macomb, Mississippi, man. It's crazy.
Really?
You know, yeah, and even with like Sabonis, Audie and Sabonis' dad, they had legendary battles over in Barcelona, Spain. So yeah, man, it's a lot of roots, with these kids and players.
Yeah.
That's
It's
true.
always just reminds us how old we getting, man. We seeing all these players, sons coming through.
Man.
Page's son, one of the best. He was a McDonald's
Right.
All-American. Milt
Yeah.
Wagner's grandson, I guess, was McDonald's
Yeah,
All-American. You got Bronny. I mean, we're getting old, man.
yeah, we
Not me.
getting up there.
You're not you,
Not
Sipp.
me. No.
My beard almost all white now.
So, okay, so who do you think coming out of the semifinals, who takes it all in the NBA finals?
Man, if he don't run out of gas, Jimmy Butler coming out the East.
Wow.
He's still a
If he
Chicago
don't-
Bulls. That boy right there. Oh my God.
He gonna
And,
he gonna
and
make
they
it
playing
happen.
against my other Chicago baby, Derrick Rose. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, man, he might will a team to the finals, but in the West, I don't know. I think it's out of Golden State, Denver, or Phoenix. I don't think Lakers have enough.
Pick
to
3 out of
come
the 4.
the-
Like, you doing like
Okay.
Shaq, man. Come on, man.
Okay,
You
all right.
you
Okay.
can't pick 3 teams. That's gonna be one of them
All
3.
right. I'm gonna say Miami coming out the East, and man, I love Durant, man. I just don't know, man. I don't know. I had dropped my head. I had dropped my head on that. I have no idea how the West gonna be played because Denver is the least team that people talking about. But like one of my guys,
They actually
told
probably
me
the best
yesterday,
team.
Yeah.
man, Jamal Murray is unreal. And the last time he was healthy, they went to the West Finals.
Yeah.
You know,
In the
so
book,
yeah. You can't rule that out. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
One more question before we move on. Do you think this will be Chris Paul's last chance to get a ring?
He what, 38 years old? Yeah.
Yeah.
That window might be closing. Yeah, it might. That window of winning the championship might be closing. But I don't know. Yeah, this might be it.
I don't
This
think
might be it.
Phoenix I don't think their bench is good enough, man. I think that's gonna be their downfall the
Right.
rest of the playoffs. I mean,
Right.
those guys, Booker, Durant, and Chris Paul, they were playing like 40-something minutes that last series, and
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
And
a lot.
DeAndre Ayton got to give them more
right,
than what he's giving them. He gonna have to have loony type rebounds and some 20, 25 point games too. He got to.
We shall see. We shall see. So I'm looking forward to him. I missed that game, the last game, Sacramento and Golden State, because I was traveling. But I really, I'm gonna go ahead and watch it. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it up because
you didn't miss much.
really.
Man, it got ugly. Like it was over like by what, third quarter. I can't remember, but yeah, I was all
third
excited.
quarter.
I skipped Jazz
Yeah.
Fest so I could watch it. I was like, man, I could have went to Jazz Fest and
Yeah.
seen this because it was,
okay,
it wasn't like I thought it was gonna be.
Okay, well, because that's what I wanted to fight to the finish.
Yeah, I did too.
It's been some exciting games. Well, Wank, first of all, it's been a pleasure having you as our guest today. But before we go, you know what we do. We play a little game called You Can Give It This or You Can Give It That. And what it is, I'll ask you a few questions. And just let me and the listeners and Rod get to know you better. I'll ask you a few questions and you just choose the one that best fits you, okay?
All right.
We're gonna do sports. We're gonna do a little sport. Would you rather be the star of a bad team or an average player on an elite team?
Now, it depends on if I'm trying to get that money. I love to
You're the
win.
star.
I'd rather be, if I'm winning championships, I'd rather be an average player on an elite team.
Okay.
So you rather be Robert Ory than give me somebody.
Michael Jordan.
No, because Michael Jordan did both. He was good and he was winning.
Right, but he was,
Yeah.
I mean, the Bulls they were not good for a while. He was the star player for a long time.
Right. I'd rather be that guy where if I miss a game winner, they ain't gonna mention my name in the paper. They gonna mention LeBron's name. Why he ain't take the shot?
Robert Ory. No, but Robert Ory was clutch, so I can't say that. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's say Robert Ory or like Bradley Beal, something like that.
okay.
Nah. 200 million. Bradley Beal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather win the MVP award or a team championship?
Oh man, I almost said championship. I'd rather be champion.
Absolutely.
Man, I think I take MVP, man.
Would you rather?
Hey, Charles Barkley or Kenny Smith? That's what it comes down to.
You got a point. Touche.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather take responsibility for losing the championship, or have a teammate take credit for the win when you deserved it?
Oh, have a teammate take credit for the win.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Team player, man.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Would you rather be an average player with a good reputation, or an elite player with rumors of cheating?
Oh no, average. Good
Average.
reputation. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you rather coach a college or professional team?
Man, with that transfer portal, I'd rather coach a pro team. Man. That
You
transfer,
said professional?
yeah, with that transfer portal, you gotta coach the players on the roster every day. So and
Every
recruit.
day. It's
Yeah,
bananas.
so nah, I don't want no parts of that.
I think you're seeing that the results of that too. I mean, you're seeing some of these guys who've been coaching for years, like getting out of it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot more work than that used to be.
They don't have as much control
Right.
that they used to have. Like I always want to know if there was a transfer portal when Bobby Knight was coaching, how many players he would have.
Ooh, baby, he would have one player on that team.
That's why.
Oh my
that's why.
God.
That's why I think they could have did this 20 years ago, but didn't want to. The NCAA gonna always be 20 years ahead of the mainstream people. You know, always.
Wow. Would you rather own the record for most points scored or most championships?
Most championships.
Absolutely.
You know,
Would
she
you rather-
poked the bear again. Now you poking the bear.
Yeah.
You know how I am. Would you rather be an elite or underdog player?
I know what it's like to be the underdog. I know what it's like to be elite. Nah, I'd rather be elite.
You rather be elite?
Yeah.
I think this is the last one. Would you rather ensure overtime or risk losing and win it in regulation?
Oh, if I got the last shot, I don't want no overtime. If I make it, fine. If I miss it, oh well. Better luck next time.
You so. As always, Wank, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media, and also your camps and everything.
On IG, it's Baba Inc. 23.
Spell that, please.
BABAINC 23, and that's my new 501c3 nonprofit name. So
Okay.
yeah, that's where they can find it. And camps, right now I don't have any camps right now, but just doing a lot of training and we'll probably have something in the near future, you know. So yeah, I'm just working on different other projects, and you know, spending time, you know, focusing on spending more time with the family. So yeah, man, like you said, we ain't getting no younger, man. Yeah,
Nope.
yeah, we ain't
That's
getting no
true.
younger. Yeah,
I'm proud of you, and that's
yeah, I
awesome. You
appreciate
know,
it.
we're excited about the documentary coming. You know, I know you can't really tell too much, so
Yeah,
we'll have to bring
when
you
it,
back on. Huh?
yeah, when it's time, we'll circle back and talk about it. I think it's gonna be very good, you know.
That's awesome. Are you gonna have them interview Rod and myself?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
want them. I want you
yeah.
to. Yeah. What's up? I haven't gotten a call yet, so.
Yeah, hey, I gave them a list of, they got a list of, you know, people to talk to and stuff like that. So, you know, so we'll see how everything play out.
Okay.
You know,
If I'm not on
yeah,
there, I'm gonna do a show about a bad show. So,
you're right.
you know,
I,
make sure
I
we
got,
make the list. But
I
no,
got you.
Rod, thanks for joining today. Tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media.
Twitter, I'm Rod Walker Nola, and I can never remember my Instagram. Is Rod. I think it's R Walker 1906. That's Instagram. So yeah, those are the two spots.
And guys, you can follow me on Facebook at She Say Sports, on Instagram at She Say 23, on Twitter, which I don't use and I need to start, at She Say 23, I think. And please subscribe to our YouTube page. Well, that's our show for today. And until next time, this is Sonia, Rod, and Wank, the She Say Sports Legends of the Sipp.